I see you have the Redskins at 17 taking an outside linebacker, McKinley from UCLA. Who else will they be considering at that spot if you had to guess?
Well, the way my mock draft came, and I'll probably put out a new one tomorrow. Malik Hooker's the best player on the board, and I just had him sliding because I was just filling needs.
Mm-hmm.
He's a top 10 player, so he's going to go at some point. To me, you'd have to take him. He's the best player on the board. Hassan Riddick could certainly be there. There's people that like Riddick better than McKinley.
You had Foster available.
Foster's available. You guys got to make a decision whether you want to deal with Foster or not. He's going to be off some teams' draft boards. He's going to be not in the first round for people. He's a top 10 player. Same thing with Dalvin Cook. They're both top 10 players, but there are teams that won't take them in the first round because of off-the-field issues. So the Redskins just have to do that. And I'll say this, Bruce in Tampa took Aqib Talib, and I think he had failed a drug test or had been suspended. So Bruce has a history of taking a chance on people. So I would say anything goes at this point. I don't think you can eliminate anybody on their board right now.
Talking to Charlie Casserly, former Redskins and Texans GM. You can check out his draft special on CSN Mid-Atlantic at 4 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. tomorrow. How do you think the Redskins front office has rebounded since the whole Scott McCloughan disaster?
Good. I don't know they would have done anything different with Scott McCloughan there. Because, remember, part of free agency is the money, and that's operated by another end of the building. But Scott was not a big free agent guy. Go back and look at what they did in free agency. They didn't spend a lot of money, and they really weren't that successful. But when you don't spend a lot of money, sometimes you're gambling and guys that you're reaching on, and if you lose, then you don't lose a lot of money, too. And I think that was their premise. They weren't going for A's. They were going for B's and C's and don't spend a lot of money. So I think they did a solid job in free agency. Pryor is an excellent pickup. It's a good rebound from Luton. Better in the long term. I think McLean can help him on the inside rush. I'm not sure about the run. McGee, I'm told, is a solid run guy. Brown's gives him speed. He's a run and chase guy, not a take-on guy. Last year was his best year in his career. So those things. Go back to the draft before Scott McCloughan came in. They didn't have a 1. They reached on Murphy in the 2nd. Okay, I get that. But then in 3, 4, and 5, they hit home runs. They hit Moses in the 3rd. They hit Breland in the 4th and Long in the 5th. There's one thing about without Moses, Sheriff would be a bust. They took him back. He couldn't get to the first preseason game to play right guard. That's what everybody thought he was. Fine, you took a guy who made a Pro Bowl in the top 10. But Moses saved their butts.
Right.
Because they have a right tackle. And, now they got to go pay him at some point, but that's good news. So they did this and did a good job with it. Nobody wants to talk about it because nobody thinks about it.
Right. So at the end of the day, will the Sheriff pick, it'll end up being a fine pick, even though he's a guard?
Yeah, it's because Moses saves him.
Right.
That's
you sound
the thing.
like you're a Bruce guy.
I think Bruce, here's what Bruce does. Bruce, and if I was to have a criticism of Bruce, and it's not it's a disagreement on philosophy, they don't sell their plan. In this city, the Nats, the Wizards, and the Capitals sell their plan. Every one of them, everybody knows what the plan is. Nats, don't spend money on free agency. We're going to go through the draft. We'll spend money later. Pitching. Everybody can recite it. Wizards, blow it up, start over. The Redskins don't sell their plan. So, therefore, people take shots at them about what they're doing. But in reality, I just went through the draft before Scott McCloughan came. That's pretty good draft on the picks they used. So now this year it starts over. I think they know what they're doing. The Cousins thing is we don't know enough about the Cousins thing to have an opinion, okay? Because we don't know what Cousins will sign for. We know the Redskins haven't offered him enough guaranteed money.
Right. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. How do you see this playing out? I've been shocked that they've only made the one offer, the $20 million, which they knew was a lowball offer.
Yeah. Somebody said, and maybe it was you guys yesterday, said about Bruce is more apt to pay, overpay in 1 year and not get stuck with a long-term deal.
Yeah, that's kind of my thinking.
I talked to somebody last night who said Shanahan has the same agent as Cousins, and that's where he's going next year. So, we'll see. Maybe they can't get him signed. But it's a dilemma. There's no question about it because, as you guys pointed out, I think yesterday, you got to draft a quarterback here at some point.
Yeah, but if they draft one this year, it'll just be a full-blown circus.
So what? It's a circus on radio. It's not a circus in the building. You can handle a building. So it gives us something to talk about.
Right.
But you can deal with that. The bigger circus is if he's gone and you have no quarterback. That's your circus.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point.
All right, well,
It'll be like Ringling. You'll shut it down.
Hey, so you have Carolina taking McCaffrey. I was watching yesterday some of your colleagues on NFL Network. I think it was Michael Robinson. They were talking about how.
Well, that's all the indications they're taking McCaffrey. Yes, McCaffrey is not the 9th pick in the draft. I'm concerned about his body build being a full. However, it's how you use him. Split him out. Get him in mismatches. Zone running game, the Shanahan system. One cut downhill. Don't take a lot of hits inside because he's not going to hold up if you have to do that. He's a space player. He's a Reggie Bush type guy, but not as explosive, but probably better as a wide receiver. That's what you got to use him as. If you use him that way, this guy's a player. If you try to use him as your number one back, I don't think that's going to work.